I am presenting Union Gospel Press's Sunday School Lesson number 7, Sunday, October 13th, 2024. The lesson is entitled, God Strengthens Daniel. Lesson text comes from Daniel chapter 10, verses 10 through 19. Related scriptures are 2 Corinthians 10, 1 through 6, Isaiah 6, 1 through 8. The place is Babylon. The time is 539 BC. Our last lesson centered on the prayer Daniel prayed after reading the words of Jeremiah. After the prayer, Gabriel appeared and explained to Daniel that he had been sent in response to Daniel's prayer. Gabriel referred to Daniel as greatly beloved, Daniel 9:23. In our lesson this week, a heavenly visitor once again responded to the prayers of Daniel and referred to him in the same manner. 10, 11, and 19. God's love for Daniel was extensive and complete, as it is for all believers. As his children, redeemed through the substitutionary sacrifice of Christ, we are greatly beloved by God. Each individual follower of the Lord is uniquely special in the heart of God. Our culture often becomes less personalized with the popularity of social media. It is comforting to know that God is still interested in the individual. His children are dearly beloved. Today's aim, facts. To understand the time period of the incident discussed and to know the significance of Daniel's fasting and mourning. Principle. To recognize the value of sincere prayer and sincerely seeking God. Application. To encourage believers to obtain a heart for others and to become serious and reverent when they approach God. Illustrating the lesson. God honors our fervent, faithful prayer. Not only does he answer such prayers, but he also supplies us with strength, peace, and fearlessness so that our faith grows. Practical points. 1. Depend on God's strength when you feel weak and inadequate, Daniel 10:10. 2. Remember God's love for you in times of uncertainty, verse 11. 3. Answers to prayer may be delayed, but God hears you, verses 12 through 13. 4. God gives us the spiritual understanding we need, verse 14. 5. Prayer is one of our most important weapons in spiritual warfare. 6. We may be the strongest spiritually when we are weakened in other ways, verses 15 through 18. 7. God knows exactly what you need, and he is in control, verse 19. Golden text. O man, beloved, fear not. Peace be unto thee. Be strong, yea, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened and said, Let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me. Daniel 10:19. Today we have two lesson outlines. The first is an important message, Daniel 10:10 through 15. The second is an unlikely interaction, Daniel 10:16 through 19. Introduction. Daniel was taken into captivity at a young age and spent the majority of his life in exile. He served in the governments of both Babylon and Medo-Persia. 2 years before his vision recorded in Daniel 10, he had seen other Jews return to the promised land. Daniel 10:1, Ezra 1:1 through 4. But it seems that he never returned. It would have been easy for Daniel to grow discouraged after spending a lifetime in exile, but he received comfort from the knowledge that God had loved him greatly. Daniel 9:23, 10:11. In chapters 10 through 12, we have Daniel's last recorded vision, which was conveyed by a heavenly messenger. The vision is recorded in chapter 11, with chapter 10 being a prologue and chapter 12 containing the ending and epilogue. The vision showed Daniel a lengthy portion of Gentile history in the coming centuries and explained how the Jews would be affected. Much revealed in the vision is still in the future. An important message, Daniel 10:10. And behold, an hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands. Verse 11. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright, for unto thee am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Verse 12. Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. Verse 13. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 1 of 20 days, but lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. Verse 14. Now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days, for yet the vision is for many days. Verse 15. And when he had spoken such words unto me, I set my face forward toward the ground, and I became dumb. The presence of a messenger, Daniel 10:10 through 11. Was the messenger in these verses the same one as one described in verses 5 through 7? There is no agreement among Bible scholars on the identity of the first being or whether the one talking here is the same person. Some believe the first man was an angel of high position in God's hierarchy of angels. Some identify him as Gabriel or Michael. Others believe it was a pre-incarnate appearance of Christ himself. Daniel did not identify him, but it was the pre-incarnate Christ. He would seem to be separate from the figure in verses 10 through 15, since that angel was unable to overcome demonic opposition without help. Verse 13. The context, however, appears to present the one in verses 5 through 7 as a high-ranking angelic being. The identity of this man clothed in linen, verse 5, as an angel and not as God himself is confirmed when he reappears in 12:7 and swears by God that what he says is the truth. This angelic being was seen by Daniel alone, while Daniel's companions fled in fear. 10:7. Daniel became weak in his presence and fell to the ground as if in a coma. Verse 9. As he lay there, he felt a hand touch him, strengthening him enough to get up on his hands and knees. The messenger who then addressed Daniel may or may not have been the same one who appeared to him earlier. The first thing this messenger did was assure Daniel that he was greatly loved by God. 9:23. The Hebrew term used in 10:11 could be rendered a man of delight. Daniel was a source of delight to God. The amazing truth is that God delights in all his children. Psalms 147:11, 149:4, Zephaniah 3:17. God becomes very personal to us when we realize that he is aware of every one of us individually and not merely as an indistinct part of a large group. We must also realize, however, that while we are all special to God, there are some to whom he reveals himself in special ways. He sometimes does this for a person who has been totally devoted to serving and pleasing him. The life of Daniel reveals such a devotion. The messenger had come to give him understanding of things to come. Daniel was then instructed to stand on his feet in order to properly receive this messenger whom God sent to him. As he did so, he continued to tremble. The opening verses of this chapter tells us that Daniel had been mourning for 3 whole weeks. This might have been in response to what was happening in Jerusalem. The first group of captives had returned to Jerusalem to begin rebuilding the temple, but there was much opposition. The reassurance from the messenger, Daniel 10:12 through 13. The angel assured Daniel that he need not fear. The terror that had overcome his companions, causing them to run and hide, verse 7, did not need to overwhelm Daniel. The appearance of this angel was in response to his earlier spiritual search, when he had set his heart and humbled himself to understand what God was doing in his day, verse 12. The appearance of the messenger was the result of that search. But the angel revealed to Daniel that it had been not easy time for him. The messenger had been hindered from reaching Daniel for 3 weeks. The hindrance had come from the prince of the kingdom of Persia, and he had been unable to proceed until Michael, one of the chief princes, verse 13, had come to help him. He had therefore remained trapped in the presence of the kings of Persia, verse 13, until that assistance came. Who was this prince of Persia? The prince over the kingdom of Persia was apparently a powerful demon intent on hindering this holy angel from reaching Daniel. Any figure who could oppose such an angel with any success must have existed in the spirit supernatural realm. Certain passages of Scripture seem to suggest that God has a hierarchy of positions among his holy angels. Isaiah 6:2 through 3, Job 1:6, Ephesians 1:21, with cherubim and seraphim apparently being among the most powerful. The appearance of this demon with authority over Persia indicates that Satan also has established a hierarchy among his demons. Mark 9:28 through 29, Ephesians 6:12. Since Satan seeks to replace God, this is not surprising. We often see Satan and demons portrayed today as cute little beings with forked tails and pitchforks in hand. What is described in this incident, however, reveals that these are powerful beings. We should not make light of them. The demon who opposed the angel in his journey to Daniel clearly was incredibly strong, because the angel was unable to continue until receiving help from the archangel Michael, Jude 1:9. Although in the entire subject of the unseen struggle between the holy angels and the fallen angels is not clearly revealed in the scriptures, from the rare glimpses which are afforded as in this instance, it is plain that behind the political and social conditions of the world, there is angelic influence, good on the part of the holy angels, evil on the part of the angels under satanic control. This is the struggle to which Paul referred in Ephesians 6:10 through 18. An explanation by the messenger, Daniel 10:14 through 15. Now that this angel had arrived safely, he could inform Daniel that he had come with a special message for him. That message would reveal what was coming in the future and how the people of Israel would be affected by those events. It would reveal much warfare involving Daniel's people and the Gentile nations around them, chapter 11. Warfare that would continue into the distant future. This was a far-reaching revelation. A glance at information shared in Daniel 11 shows that these events would extend from Daniel's time to that of the Antichrist in the end times. It revealed that 4 more Persian kings would arise, the last one being Xerxes the first, called Ahasuerus in Esther, who is described as being far richer than the others, verse 4. Later, a mighty king, Alexander the Great, would arise and his kingdom would be broken into four parts, verses 3 through 4. After which there would be continuous warfare between nations north and south of Israel. Before all this astonishing revelation was given, Daniel understood the implications of the messenger and his message, and it caused him to become speechless. The revelation of the angelic battle that had already occurred in the spiritual realm was overwhelming. There is an unseen world that is just as real as the one we can see. While we cannot witness what is going on in that world, recorded events like this assure us that reality goes far beyond our current abilities of observation. The prophet Daniel realized the great significance of God's plans for Israel, and once again he fainted and was unable to speak. Here, he had been involved in a cosmic spiritual conflict and didn't even know it. And the Lord was using some of his highest angels to answer his prayers. This certainly lifts prayer out of the level of a humdrum religious exercise and shows it to be one of our strongest and most important spiritual weapons. An unlikely interaction. Verse 6. And behold, one like the similitude of the sons of men touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spake and said unto him that stood before me, O my Lord, by the vision my sorrows are turned upon me, and I have retained no strength. Verse 17. For how can the servant of this my Lord talk with this my Lord? For as for me, straightway there remained no strength in me, neither is there breath left in me. Verse 18. Then there came again and touched me one like the appearance of a man, and he strengthened me. Verse 19. And said, O man greatly beloved, fear not. Peace be unto thee. Be strong, yea, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened and said, Let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me. Daniel's overwhelming weakness, Daniel 10:16 through 17. Daniel's inability to speak was short-lived, however, because suddenly and unexpectedly he was touched on the lips by someone who had the likeness of the sons of men. This apparently indicates someone who appeared in human form, though we can be certain that it was not a mere human. Since there are a number of incidents in the Bible where heavenly beings took on human form, this is not out of the ordinary. It is unclear, however, whether this was an angel or the pre-incarnate Christ. Daniel's repeated encounters with angels reveal that in God's eyes, he was a chosen vessel for receiving and communicating God's messages to people. In 7:16, he was able to ask an angel to explain the meaning of the four great beasts he had just seen, the vision of the Ancient of Days, and the night vision of the appearance of the Son of Man. In 18:15 through 26, Gabriel came to him and explained the vision of the ram, male goat, and little horn. In 9:21 through 22, Gabriel came to explain another revelation. On this occasion, after Daniel was able to speak again, he tried to explain his reaction to what he was witnessing. Everything he was seeing was overwhelming, and he was left without physical strength. We can hardly comprehend the magnitude of this situation, for we have never experienced anything like it. Here Daniel was in the presence of angels, hearing things he had never heard before. The significance of the message was beyond normal human understanding. In light of what was happening around him and being revealed to him, Daniel asked how he could even converse with this angel, as he experienced strong physical reactions. actions. He could hardly catch his breath, let alone talk. Daniel had been weakened at the appearance of the messenger, 10:8, 7:15, 8:27. Now he was also overwhelmed, speechless, 10:15, at learning of the angelic demonic conflict that delayed the answer to his prayer. Moreover, he was overcome with anguish, verse 16, at the content of the vision of Israel's suffering. He was left totally debilitated, verse 8, and gasping for breath. Daniel's renewed strength, Daniel 10:18 through 19. The same angel then touched Daniel again and restored his strength. This was the third time an angel touched and empowered him, verses 10 and 16. The Lord Jesus Christ was strengthened by angels, Matthew 4:11 and Luke 22:43. This occurred after Satan tempted him in the wilderness and later in the Garden of Gethsemane. And he faced as he faced the cross and needed encouragement and strength from his Father. It should be encouraging to us when we read that the angels are all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation, Hebrews 1:14. This indicates that God uses the angels as ministering spirits to care for us, his children. Physical touch and encouraging words from our mentors and loved ones often help us when we feel overwhelmed and distraught. We should all seek spiritual discernment so that we can minister encouragingly to others in a way similar to the angelic beings' ministry to Daniel. This angel's earlier touch had restored Daniel's voice. Now the angel touched him and strengthened him. The angel then delivered his divine message. O man greatly beloved, fear not. Peace be unto thee, be strong, yea, be strong, Daniel 10:19. There were no words of condemnation to Daniel, only reassurance and encouragement. God was not critical of Daniel's inability to be strong in the face of such stupendous revelation. Rather, he was more than willing to help him move ahead. He reminds Daniel that he is greatly loved. God is equally gracious to us, for he loved us so much that he sent his only begotten Son to die for our sin. After being strengthened by the angel, Daniel had recovered enough to receive the rest of the revelation. He told the angel to continue with his message since the angel had given him sufficient strength. God's children can have a sense of peace even under the stress of hearing bad news. The angel responded by asking Daniel a question. He asked whether Daniel now understood why he had come, verse 20. He then revealed that he would once again face unseen enemies. Daniel's faith was strong, but even he needed God's help. Certainly we do too. Questions. 1. What did the heavenly messenger do for Daniel when he touched him, and how did Daniel respond? 2. Of what did the messenger assure Daniel, and what did that mean to him and to us? 3. What made it hard for the angel to get to Daniel? 4. Who was involved in the supernatural battle that took place? 5. What does this text reveal to us about demons? 6. What was the message from the angel going to be about, and what period of time would it occur? 7. Why did Daniel become speechless at the angel's revelation? 8. How was Daniel's ability to speak restored? 9. What do Daniel's repeated encounters with angels show us? 10. What did the strengthening that Daniel received prepare him for? This concludes the Sunday School lesson for Sunday, October 13th, 2024. Thank you for listening. God bless.